Hey everybody, it's Rogway here, and I'm back with another tutorial. And today we're talking about custom artboards inside of Photoshop and why it's beneficial as a designer to use them. Um, Oftentimes, when you are doing a design for a client, they will want to not just see their design on one piece. They'll also want to share it on social media. They'll want to put it all over the place. And so your design has to be flexible enough that it can sort of change and update depending on where it's going to end up. And the way that Photoshop accommodates this for us is we can create multiple artboards. So you'll see in this file that I have here, this blank file, I have these artboards set up here. One is a print poster, one is an Instagram post, and one is a Facebook banner type of a post. So these are sort of standard sizes for those three. And what we're going to do today is we're just going to build an ad, and I'm going to show you how you can sort of arrange things depending on the format that they're going to end up on. All right. Now, in order to get the artboards option within Photoshop, what you need to do is just go to File, New. And when you're making a new document, you want to make sure this little checkbox right here that says Artboards is turned on. That's going to give you the option of creating multiple artboards. And you can name them. As you can see I did here is I just named the artboards. There's nothing on any of them. But you can see that they are named accordingly. And, you can make as many as you need. And so we're going to start with the print poster because generally graphic designers will start with what is going to be printed first. Not always, but most times. And I've got a folder here of a bunch of images. Now, again, this is just fictional, but I've got a flash sale, I got a model, some social media icons, I got some text, and a logo for Zara. And so we are going to make a fake advertisement here for this sale that, again, would highlight what it would look like if you were, building something for an actual client. Okay, so first things first. Now, again, I'm not going to spend too much time making this thing super fancy, but what I want to do is I want to make sure I am working on the right artboard. So I'm going to make sure print poster is selected, and I'm going to start by creating a layer within that artboard. I think just to dress up the background a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the entire page. I can do that with Command A, sorry, or if you're on a PC, it could be Control A, and I'm going to select it all first. And then I'm going to take my gradient tool, which you'll see right here, and I'm going to just drag a gradient out from the center, okay? Just to show you what I did there. Gradient tool, shortcut is G to get to that. Up at the top here, I got the gradient. Maybe I'll go with a different color scheme, okay? So maybe I'll go with, I don't know, like a purple maybe? It's kind of cool. Just so I got something interesting. I'll go with that first one. We'll see how it looks. And then you got different types of gradients. So you could do a linear or a radial. There's angled, all sorts of different types. In this case, I'm going to use radial. Basically, radial is a circular gradient that goes from one color in the middle to another color on the outside. You can have as many colors as you want. You can click these and you can edit them and add more. I believe it's inside of the gradient palette here. You can make your own by hitting the plus if you wanted to. In this case, I'm just going to use one of the presets. And again, going back to my layers, remember I'm inside of the print poster artboard on layer 1. And I'm going to take my gradient and I'm just going to drag out sort of from the center, something like that. Okay, and you can kind of see that effect. It's very subtle. You got kind of a purple in the middle and kind of a pink on the outside. I'll try that again, maybe try to center it a little better. And again, I'm not spending too much time here on the design. I'm just showing you the technique. So there's that fill. Now, we're going to put our model in here, and you're going to find that file in the folder if you have access to it. I'm going to drag that over. I'm going to drop her in. Maybe I'm going to have her fill up, a portion of the page like that. something like that. And then I'm going to get the, let's do the flash sale logo, which is this one here. Going to bring that in. And again, I know I'm old school, but I always drag my files to Photoshop first and then drop them in by dragging and dropping. Just the way I've always worked in Photoshop. Just holding Option here so it scales from the center. And I'm going to put this logo sort of somewhere off to the side here, something like this. And again, guys, this is just all fake, and you know, it's just for educational purposes anyways. But, you know, we're building an ad quickly here. Now, perhaps this red doesn't go very well with the purplish sort of background, and maybe we want to match more like her dress. There's a lot of ways we can do that. I'm just going to show you a quick way. Once you have it in here, we can go to Image, Adjustments. We can do something like color balance is a good one, or hue and saturation might be okay in this case. Let's do hue and saturation. And we can take our hue slider and we can just sort of tweak that color till we're happy with where it is, and we can kind of adjust our saturation. Try to get it to match that dress a little bit closer. Doesn't have to be perfect. Something like that's not bad. Something right about there. I'm gonna hit OK. It's better than that red or whatever that color was. It didn't really match very well. Okay, so there's that. And we're going to take our Zara logo, which we have also in that folder. This is it here. We're going to pull that to Photoshop. And we're going to click and drag on with the Move tool, bring it over to the common sizes, scale it down, use the Option trick again. I think it's Alt on the PC. And you'll notice that it kind of looks weird in black, and it's also over top of her, which is really weird too. But we're going to fix that in a second. Let's just get it about the right size. Okay, something about that. Now, a pretty common technique you're going to see on a lot of advertisements, they're going to have the model's head in front of the logo. It's also used quite commonly on covers of magazines. Very simple. Because we've already got her cut out of the background, we can just take her layer and drag it above so that she's in front of that logo. And then we can go to that layer that has the logo, and let's say we want it to be white. In this case, because it's black, it's easy. We can just go to Image, Adjustments, Invert, and we're going to get white instead of black, just like that. And if I want to kind of tweak it, I can, you know, till I'm happy with the layout of that. Now, the last little thing we're going to add, again, this is not by any means finished. Actually, there's two little things we're going to add. We're going to put the social media icons. We'll drag those. This is what they look like. We're going to bring them into Photoshop. And we're going to drag and drop them into the design somewhere along the bottom. And I know it makes no sense at all because, you know, there's no links or anything. It's just the icons. But that's okay. I'm just going to put that there anyways. And last but not least, we have some text to work with here. So we've got basically just a short paragraph that we have for the sale. We're going to select that, and I'm going to copy it with Command C here, Control C on the PC. And I'm just going to go with my text tool, and I'm going to actually, in this case, I don't do this very often with Photoshop. I'm going to actually just draw a text box for my text to go into. And I'm going to paste it in there. And we're going to look for a font that kind of looks good. Now you see up here we got all our font choices. I'm going to use, I like Railway. So I'm going to use something like Railway Medium, and I'm going to shrink down the size. Just by using the up and down arrows, you can shrink the size of the font. Okay, something like that. Not horrible, but also not great. Again, this is just very quick. Now, one thing you can do with your text, a couple things actually, is you should always try to match the end of the text so that it works with the pictures in your design. Okay? And another thing is whatever is really important that you want people to see, let's say the spring flash sale, which is really what it's all about, you know, change that to a bold or a black, something heavier, so it kind of lines up better. It'll look better in the design. Words like, these are called bossy words, like rush. You know, rush to your local czars, that could be bold. Words like while quantities last, let's actually adjust that, because usually this line of text is usually italic. So do we have italic here? We got black italic. Oh no, we got bold italic. Too bad we don't just have a regular italic. And usually smaller, you know, because they don't ever want you to see while quantities last. And then I'm going to move it down to the next line, maybe 2 lines. And I'm not going to get into too much formatting here, but you get the idea that, you know, is a very quick layout now that we've got for our poster. Now, obviously, we would spend more time making it better, you know, tweaking things, making it look as good as possible. But let's say for the design part, it's more or less sort of done, and we're happy with it. So now the next step, and again, this is really important because you kind of have to be flexible with your designs. Next step, they might say to you is, okay, well, we need, you know, something to post on Instagram. We're going to need something for Facebook. So this is where we would take our existing design, okay, something like what we've got right here. And I'm not sure if this is going to work perfectly, probably not on the first try. But if you select everything, I'm just going to show you how I did that. I went to the first layer and I held Shift. You'll be able to move everything at once, okay, as you can see. And we can drop our designs onto the other artboards, okay? But what we want to do is we don't want to just drop them into the new artboards. What we want to do is we want to copy them, okay? And so on the Mac, if we hold Option, we can drag a copy of our existing elements, the stuff that we have. And you'll notice that some things are going to need an adjustment, like this gradient does not transfer very well. It, excuse me, it just looks pink. It lost all the other colors. And it'll also stay locked to the size, and that doesn't work in this case. So what we're going to need to do is hold Shift, stretch that out so that it fits better. We'll just hold Shift for each of these sides to get it locked in. And then we're going to go back to our gradient tool, and we're going to redraw the gradient here. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold Option. I'm going to drag a copy to this one now. Same deal. Hold Shift, copy it to the background like that. Use the gradient fill on this one now. Same deal. And again, we want this to be consistent. We want people to recognize if they saw the poster and the ads and all the rest, they know who it's for because they've seen them. They all look the same. Next, we move on to our photo of the model. Same deal. Holding Option here. Oh, and it always does that. It always goes to that one. That's okay. That's fine. We will sort of have her coming in from the side maybe. And again, you gotta be flexible. Your design has to work with a bunch of different sizes, and this is going to be a very common thing that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to adjust for these different sizes. Now, in this case, you'll see that I'm going to just hit return so it confirms that. This one is now locked in, but if I copy, okay, no, it worked. Sometimes it doesn't always copy over to the other artboard, which is kind of frustrating. Usually it's because the picture is too big for the artboard, and so it'll just kind of drop it on either or. But the interesting thing is, as we're building this ad across these 3 layouts, you'll see that Photoshop is automatically keeping track of where those layers should go. As long as they're on the correct artboard, you'll see that the layers will stack properly in the layers palette. Now, again, we might as well finish this for the video. We'll do the logo next, right? And obviously the logo sizing might change for that different ad. I might actually move her over more so that she's kind of coming in from a farther angle. This will probably change. Again, maybe now it's like this, but You know, we always have to figure out where things are going to go in the new layouts, right? And so a good first step is to drag everything over first so you have all the stuff you need to work with. Okay, I'm going to hold shift. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Let's just figure out how this will go in a second here. We'll just get everything moved over to begin with here. Okay. Okay. This is not pretty, but maybe it goes beside each other on this one. Then we got our social media icons along the bottom. Again, not pretty. It would definitely need more work, but as you can see, still got all the same elements, still looks the same, it's just a different platform, right? This one, you know, we're probably not going to have a lot of room, so, you know, we might only get the Zara, you know, I might have to move her over, you know. And again, it's just experimenting. That part of it is not really the point of the video, to be honest. The point of the video is that multiple artboards are super powerful. You're going to be able to do a lot with it. Okay, you're going to be able to create multiple designs in one document. It's relatively quick and easy. As you can see, I'm moving things and rearranging things very quickly here. And you'll see that you can quickly adopt, you know, different elements to do. Oops, that didn't copy. Oh, and neither did the previous one. I just realized. Whoops. You can very quickly adopt elements from your other designs into other layouts that you have. All right, and this is a powerful thing. Artboards is a relatively new feature of Photoshop. It hasn't been around for a very long time, but it is, in my opinion, a much needed feature, because in the past, what you'd always have to do is you'd have to make separate documents, and you'd have to, you know, copy and paste your stuff over. It was much more manual. And now you can see that I can do this very quickly. And this one is horrible. This one needs a lot of work. But I'm going to leave it because, again, it's just for the tutorial. I'm just going to kind of arrange it like that. That makes no sense. But anyways, you get the idea. All right, so there is the final result. And again, if I was showing this to a customer, then what I could do is, again, I can proof basically 3 designs at once and kind of give them a better idea of how that design might look across all of their, you know, both printed and social media. And it's really going to help the client visualize how that design is going to work in those different platforms. All right, so artboards, multiple artboards, very, very powerful. I recommend you guys use them. Again, this is just good practice to sort of prepare yourself for any sort of design change that might come up, especially when you're working with real clients. All right, so that's it for today. Hopefully you found that interesting, and hopefully you'll use some of those techniques. Until next time, thanks for watching.